The purpose of bench testing in the marine industry, I think one of the main things we look at is product development.
So this is screening new formulations, or we're changing the base oil. The bench tests are really good at giving us indicative performance direction in that sense.
We're looking at how the bench test result compares to a reference result that we have previously, or if it's within a specification.
Yeah, it's important to look at the whole suite of bench tests, not just one individually, to see how it compares to that reference. There's a number of reasons why we're looking to improve a formulation or adapt the formulation in some way. And this is usually driven by regulatory changes from either the chemical side of things or driven by the marine industry itself. I'm thinking there of the emissions legislations that we're moving towards for 2030 and 2050.
But then there's also changes that might happen possibly within the engine and within the fuel that might need us also to change the formulation. Changes in pressure and changes in temperature.
It can absolutely impact the thermal robustness of the formulation.
The other area we use the bench test for is product integrity.
It's really important when we put a new product into the market that it's going to stand up to all of the challenges, whether that's long-term stability or any kind of water contact.
One of the really important things to look at would be the storage stability. So looking at the new impact of that chemistry over time to see if anything reacts or drops out. So if we're manufacturing at plant, then we're looking at if there's an issue or a problem, we'll get a sample to look at any sort of production issues that might occur. And then also if we've got things in the field, we'd like to monitor those as well.
When we think about the limitations of bench testing, many of them are just evaluating the thermal degradation of the lubricant, which is really important because we don't want the lubricant itself to contribute to deposits in the engine. But we want to try and bring in more of the aspects of the conditions that the oil is going to experience during combustion. Some of the things that we've been thinking of is how do we bring more of those elements into the bench tests, and how can we modify them to make it more realistic to those conditions.
So we're just looking at one parameter at a time, really?
Yeah, temperature generally is one of the easiest ones to replicate. So we have a number of tests. We can focus on particular areas of the engine and replicate the temperature in that area for the bench tests. And we can also look at the flow of oil as well. We can try and mimic the flow of oil in that area to better represent
experience that the oil's having in the field.
Yeah.
So we're looking at viscosity, we're looking at deposits.
Acid neutralisation is another aspect.
Acid neutralisation.
TBN. TBN gives an indication of the amount of acid that the lubricant can neutralise.
Yeah, TBN is critical for marine, isn't it? Because there's so much acid produced in the engine. We tend to make our lubricants all over based so that can absorb some of the acid that's forming, so the acid doesn't in turn damage any part of the engine.
The marine fuels still contain up to 5,000 ppm of sulphur. So
wow, that's a lot.
Lubricants today still need to ensure that it's not contributing to corrosion of the liners or the piston rings, which can end up in engine failures.
And these engines cost a heck of a lot of money.
Yeah, the cost of replacement parts is considerable, so we want to make sure that the lubricant is doing the best job to prevent that corrosion.
The benefits of bench testing, I think the main one is they're really quick to produce. They give us a good indication straight away. There's such a vast array of bench tests that you can get a really good indication of the performance of the fluid before you move on to additional testing and things like the OEM approvals.
We want to screen a lot of different options, and the bench tests are readily available. We can make modifications as we want to. It gives us that confidence to move forward into the next stage of testing, whether that be in the stationary engines or in the full-scale field trial.
Yeah, it's really important that we get a really good picture and they enable us to do it really, really quickly. That's the main benefit, isn't it, really?
Yeah.